Welcome to Day and Night News Prime Debate. Exactly 2 years ago, India's commercial capital was under siege. Terrorists struck a deadly blow, killing more than 100 people and maiming many others. And it was live on television screens across the globe. But was this an opportunity for the local media to garner TRPs, or did the editorial filters fail during the attack? Did the Indian media report terror, or did it spread terror? That's what we try to find out on Prime Debate tonight. To discuss this, we have in our studios Brij Mohan, resident editor, Dainik Bhaskar, Chandigarh, and formerly of the NDTV; G.S. Pandher, retired IPS officer and former Director General, National Security Guards; Mohanmeet Khosla, chairperson, School of Communication Studies, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Welcome to the studio, friends. But before we go into the discussion, here is a short film by Ishani K. Datta which explores the media's role during 26/11.
Barely 50 minutes later, a car bomb exploded in the parking lot of Air India building.
November 2008. India was tuning in to their television sets for their daily dose of entertainment and the headlines for the day. Instead, this is what they saw.
When terror struck Mumbai on Wednesday night, these were the men who struck back.
A shocking, brazen display of terror that went on for close to 3 days. A coordinated attack by foot soldiers of terror, challenging establishment. An event that took the local media by surprise, and that forever changed the outlook of reporting terrorism in the region. Questions were being asked. Were we reporting terror during those 3 days? Or were we spreading terror, doing precisely what the terrorists wanted us to do? One by one, senseless attacks followed. Bus-carrying Lankan players attacked in the heart of Lahore by a handful of terrorists. Government offices in Kabul attacked by gun-trotting suicide bombers. Local media here is forced to cope with the dubious status of South Asia as the hub of international terrorism, and not without reason. Taliban and its offshoots in the Afpak region aiming to recapture Afghanistan. Jihadi groups in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistan's Punjab with their Azad Kashmir agenda. Decade-long violent Maoist insurgency in Nepal that threatens to return at any time. Bloody war with LTTE in Lanka, with thousands of civilians caught in crossfire. Insurgency in India's northeast with active cross-border support, training and infrastructure from Bangladesh and Bhutan. Each one of these movements has a political agenda. They are forever looking for free publicity and international recognition through media. In fact, the game of terrorism can scarcely be played without media. Without the world's attention, these acts of viciousness are pointless. Nothing illustrates this better than the 26/11 Mumbai mayhem. 10 foot soldiers of terror loaded with automatic weapons, grenades and sophisticated communication equipment enter Mumbai and attack specific targets. 5-star hotels with foreign guests, a cafe frequented by foreigners, a Jewish establishment and a railway station thronging with travelers. In it's obvious that their target was to get maximum coverage in national and international media. A coverage that they got, no doubt. In fact, they got everything they wanted. To amplify panic and spread fear through media. To create an atmosphere that facilitates economic loss, like scaring away investment and tourism. To make populations lose faith in their government's ability to protect them. To trigger government and popular overreaction to specific incidents and the overall threat of terrorism. Like every major terror attack, the overall target in 26/11 was to use the media to spread their political agenda. The attackers were constantly briefed by their handlers on how to manipulate the media. And the fact that both Indian and Pakistani media gave the event around-the-clock coverage actually helped the terror cause.
Else the police were the first to arrive on the scene, but it soon became clear.
The question is, was there an option of not doing so? This is where the clash of interests of the state and privately owned media comes in. To be the first with the story. To make the story as dramatic and timely as possible. To be as accurate and professional as possible. To protect society's right to know. In its relentless quest for TRPs and its immense pressure to keep grabbing the eyeballs, the media often ends up doing things that the state doesn't want them to do. They want coverage to advance their agenda and not that of the terrorist. To separate terrorism from the media. To present terrorists as criminals. Publicity to diffuse tension during an incident, not contribute to it. During incidents, they wish to control terrorist access to outside data. They want the media to boost the image of government agencies. The chaos that was 26/11 coverage flouted many rules. The exact position and number of hostages revealed while the attacks were on. Even the movements of the armed forces were revealed. All channels in the region aired gory, blood-smeared pictures of victims, which did nothing to ease the tension and did precisely what the terrorists wanted: spread fear and panic. 26/11 exposed the immaturity of media in South Asia, perhaps more than anything else ever had. In this case, another target was to further embitter the relations between two neighboring states with a history of hostility. Relations that were on the verge of getting better. Media bickering laced with jingoism that began even as Mumbai siege was on added to the overall chaos. Subjects like Pakistan, Lashkar and Taliban on Indian TV channels enjoyed steady pride of place. The Center for Media Studies Media Monitor found that the prime time devoted to matters related to Pakistan and terrorism increased from 0.34% in November 2008 to 12.5% in March 2009. Indian anchors were partisan. The guests flaunted their patriotism. The headlines were dire. Pakistani media was not different.
We all condemn this bomb blast in Mumbai.
In the early hours of the attack, Pakistani media seemed to be sympathetic to the cause of Mumbai. With uncontrolled Pakistan bashing in the Indian media, they soon changed their tune and came up with extremely complicated theories.
इंडिया में सो कॉल्ड मुंबई में एक टेररिज्म की जो वारदात की इंडियन एजेंसीज ने और बीजेपी ने मिलकर के उसके हवाले से।
इस लड़के का नाम अमर सिंह है, ये सिख है और इसके साथ जो दूसरा लड़का मारा गया है इसका नाम हीरा लाल है। ये दोनों रॉ के एजेंट्स हैं। ये खबर हमको इंडियन इंटेलिजेंस सेटअप से अंदर से पहुंची है। इंडियंस ने अमेरिकन की नकल में एक 9/11 करने की कोशिश तो की, मगर एवरीथिंग वेंट टेरिबली रॉन्ग फॉर देम।
वी शुड समन द डीजी रॉ एंड टेल हिम टू कम टू पाकिस्तान। और ये हमारे पास सबूत है तुम लोग को दिखाने के लिए कि भाई ये सारे का सारा जो तुम लोगों ने ड्रामा किया ये कुछ इतना प्लान तो शायद अच्छा हो, एक्सिक्यूटेड बड़ा फजूल था। ये फिल्म का डायरेक्टर ठीक नहीं था।
This was more or less the approach of the Pakistani government initially, who declined to believe for a long time that Pakistan nationals were involved in the Mumbai attack. But the evidence when it came also came from the Pakistani media. A leading private channel of Pakistan aired a story from Kasab's village, interviewing his relatives and disclosing his social security number. In this one case, the media did overtly influence policy decisions of two nations. In a way, 2611 led to better understanding and cooperation between media houses across the borders, and also underlined the stark differences between state-owned media and the newly emerging private media. 2611 and similar attacks lead us to a host of complicated and disturbing questions. Do media personnel need training to handle terror crisis situations like during hostage situations? If so, who will impart this training? A state-sponsored effort is likely to fail. How is it possible to disconnect terror from the media? Is there a way to monitor the infiltration of terror sympathizers inside the media? An interview with a terrorist leader, even during a hostage situation, is often considered a price catch by the media. Is there a way to reverse this process? Is it possible to persuade the media to come up with at least a balanced presentation during terror situations? Self-regulation or censorship of media? What is the way out?
I think post 2611 there is a clear code of conduct in place, at least here at IBN. There are things that we will do and the things that we won't do. I think there is a stronger filtration process today than there was 18 months ago. When it comes to training though, I am afraid to say that perhaps we are just as ill trained today as we were 18 months ago. I don't think we've done enough to train our reporters on how to deal not just with terror but all forms of conflict. In terms of filtration, in terms of self-regulation, I think the code which is in place at the moment, and it is really an industry code now, is a positive sign. The obvious solution according to me would have been self-regulation, where each channel regulates according to their own internal code of conduct. But that mechanism has clearly failed because certain channels continue to cover a terrorist attack with absolutely no sensitivity or any concern about security worries. So I only feel that we need an independent regulatory body which will monitor all the channels and which will be in a position to act against those channels who violate a code of conduct.
With more and more private media channels coming in, the situation is going to get even more complex. It will be increasingly difficult for the state to control the information and at times misinformation disseminated by the media. The media and the government need to ensure that the media are not manipulated into promoting the cause of terrorism or its methods. On the other hand, neither the media nor policymakers want to see terrorism or counter-terrorism eroding constitutional freedoms, including that of the press, one of the pillars of democratic societies. This appears to be a dilemma that cannot be completely reconciled.